All right, so today we're really getting our hands dirty, like archaeologists, because we're digging into something pretty massive, the ancient Greek creation myth.
And not just any old version, we're going deep into some really fascinating source material.
Yeah, forget those children's books you might have read. This is the real deal.
Absolutely.
We're talking gods, monsters, betrayal. It's juicy.
It really is. And what's so intriguing about this particular text, diocescosmogonia.txt.
Which, by the way, sounds like somebody's raw notes. Like we're getting this unfiltered glimpse into how the ancient Greeks really thought about these things.
Exactly. And unlike a lot of other creation myths, this one doesn't start with some kind of, benevolent creator or a big bang. It starts with chaos.
Chaos. It's like just saying the word, it's like this heavy loaded term.
Right. It evokes this sense of an endless void, this formless, limitless expanse where even time doesn't exist yet.
It's like trying to picture nothingness. And the way the text describes it, it's almost unnerving.
But from this chaos, this absolute nothingness, emerges Gaia, the earth. But, and this is crucial, she doesn't emerge alone. Right alongside Gaia, we see the birth of Eros.
Eros. And I think it's important to clarify, we're not just talking about romantic love here.
No, Eros in this context is primordial desire, that fundamental urge for creation, for connection, that drives the universe itself. It's a force as old as time, and it plays a huge role in everything that unfolds.
So it's built into the fabric of existence from the very beginning is this need to connect, to create. And from there, things get interesting, to say the least.
To put it mildly, because with Gaia and Eros now in play, things progress rapidly. We see the emergence of Uranus, the sky, drawn to Gaia in this primordial dance of opposites.
It's like the universe is laying down the blueprint right there. Sky and earth, light and darkness. These primal pairs set the stage for the entire Greek worldview, this idea that everything exists in relation to its opposite.
Exactly, and to further emphasize this, we're introduced to Tartarus, the shadowy depths of the underworld.
Which, again, isn't just like hell as we might picture it today.
Right, it's this primal force, this realm as essential as the sky above. It represents the unknown, the untamed, the place where even the gods feared to tread.
Talk about setting the mood, right? But then, amidst all this primordial darkness and, let's be honest, weirdness, there's light, literally.
Yes. Day and night are born, followed by air, and suddenly this primordial soup isn't just existing, it's starting to take on the characteristics of a world where, things could actually live.
It's like someone hit the fast forward button on creation, and things are about to get a whole lot more active, shall we say, because up next, the Titans enter the scene. Welcome back.
So we've got this universe, right? It's got the basics, day, night, air. Kind of starting to look like a place you could, I don't know, maybe grab a coffee.
Well, not quite yet. Remember, this is still Greek mythology we're talking about.
Right. Things are about to get a whole lot more complicated, dramatic.
How about monstrously dysfunctional? Because, my friend, the Titans are here. And when I say dysfunctional, I mean take your average family Thanksgiving, crank it up to 11, then throw in some lightning bolts and a Cyclops or two, and you're starting to get the picture.
Exactly. With the Titans, this creation story becomes less about abstract forces and more about raw, unfiltered power.
And of course, who gets caught in the middle of all this? Family.
Of course. It's the original drama, isn't it?
Yeah.
Parent-child rivalry, sibling rivalry, you name it.
So we've got Gaia and Uranus as the, shall we say, power couple of the universe. But their kids, the Titans, they're not exactly happy with how Dad's running the show.
Well, can you blame them?
Yeah.
Uranus imprisons some of his own children, fearing their power.
Yeah. Talk about overprotective parenting. We're talking about the Cyclopes, these giant dudes with one eye, and the hecaton chairs, even bigger dudes, but with 100 hands each. Imagine trying to get a high five from one of those guys.
You need a team. But seriously, this is a big deal. It sets up this tension between generations, this fear of being overthrown that drives so much of Greek mythology.
And Uranus, he's not exactly subtle about it. He imprisons these kids in Tartarus, the darkest depths of the underworld.
It's like he's trying to stuff away anything that challenges his control, anything he sees as a threat.
Which, spoiler alert, never ends well in Greek mythology.
Not even a little bit.
So what happens? Gaia, no surprise, is furious. This is her chance to get back at Uranus. And who better to help her out than her ambitious son, Cronus?
Cronus. Where do we even begin?
Right. I mean, his name literally means time, which already tells you this guy is going places. Literally.
And it's important to remember, this text differentiates Cronus from Kronos, the god of time. This is something that trips a lot of people up, even today.
Oh, for sure. Cronus, he's not just watching the clock, he's making moves. And he's about to make a move that's, well, let's just say it involves a sickle and leaves a lasting impression.
This is one of those moments in mythology, one of those images that just sticks with you.
Oh, absolutely. So picture it. Cronus, armed with the sickle given to him by his mom, always trust your mom, confronts Uranus, and yeah, he castrates him.
Talk about a power move.
Talk about an overreaction, but that's Greek mythology for you. Always dramatic, always intense, and the text does not shy away from the gory details. We're talking blood splattering across the cosmos, giving birth to the Erinyes, these vengeful goddesses who embody pure, unadulterated rage.
It's like the universe itself is reeling from this act of violence. It's like saying, actions have consequences, buddy.
But here's where it gets really weird. Some of Uranus's essence falls into the sea.
Right, and from the sea foam, rises Aphrodite.
The goddess of love, beauty, and desire, born out of this act of shocking violence. It's just classic Greek mythology.
It really is. This juxtaposition, this idea that something beautiful and powerful can emerge from something so dark and destructive, it's a recurring theme. And it speaks to the complexity of Aphrodite herself.
Totally. She's not just about beauty and romance. There's this underlying power, this connection to primal forces that makes her both alluring and a little bit dangerous.
Exactly. But before we get too caught up in Aphrodite's story, let's not forget about Cronus. He's top dog now, ruler of the Titans, king of the cosmos.
Which, as we've already established, is a pretty precarious position in the world of Greek mythology.
Especially when you have a prophecy hanging over your head predicting your own downfall.
Oh, yeah. Because Cronus, he gets hit with the classic, the son will overthrow the father prophecy. And is he, remotely chill about it? Does he say, well, let's just see how things play out? No. He goes full-on supervillain and decides to swallow each of his children whole.
And just like that, we're back to that monstrous dysfunction we were talking about.
Right. You thought your family was complicated. Try having your dad swallow you whole. But this, as they say, is where things get really interesting, because Cronus's wife, Rhea, has other plans for her youngest son, Zeus.
And that is a story for another time.
Okay, so last time on Cronus, world's okay as dad, things got a little, intense.
To put it mildly, we left off with Cronus deciding the best way to stay in power was to, well, consume his offspring.
Yeah, not exactly winning any Father of the Year awards with that strategy, but this is where things take a turn, and we meet a character who's way too smart to be stuck in this cosmic soap opera, Rhea.
Cronus's wife, and let's be real, probably the only one who can pull off this next move.
Okay, so Cronus is expecting, another kid to add to his collection.
And Rhea, bless her, she's not about to let that happen. So what does she do? She takes a page out of the Desperate Housewives of Mount Olympus playbook.
Wait, seriously? Tell me she at least used ambrosia-infused baby formula or something.
Even better. She wraps a stone in swaddling clothes and presents it to Cronus like it's their newborn son, Zeus.
No way. Did he not notice it was a little, well, rocky to hold?
Hey, the guy's paranoid, not observant. Plus, who's going to argue with a Titan, right? So Rhea pulls it off. Zeus is whisked away to safety, hidden in a cave on the island of Crete, raised by nymphs, nursed by a goat.
Okay, that's officially the weirdest babysitting situation I've ever heard of. And we've covered some strange stuff on this show.
Right. But here's where it gets really interesting. While Zeus is off having his unique childhood, the text doesn't just focus on him growing up. It's like our ancient author wanted to give us a panoramic shot of the entire world being built around him.
World-building Greek mythology style. So what kind of things are happening while Zeus is learning to be, Zeus?
Well, for starters, remember how the Greeks were obsessed with those rivers and springs? This is where they come in. We finally meet Oceanus and Tethys, the parents of all the river gods and nymphs. Talk about a big, happy, slightly damp family reunion.
Makes sense, though, right? These stories were how they explain the world and what's more essential than water.
Exactly. But it's not all just genealogy and geography lessons. Remember Leto? She and Zeus, well, they have a bit of a thing.
I'm sensing some more drama. And knowing this family, it probably involved a flock of angry doves or something.
Close enough. Their relationship leads to the birth of Apollo and Artemis, two of the most well-known Olympian gods, and even their birth story is packed with divine jealousy and intrigue.
Like I said, it's Shakespeare meets soap opera with a dash of epic poetry thrown in for good measure.
And just when you thought it couldn't get more out there, we get these little snippets about other figures. We finally meet Atlas, who gets the unenviable job of holding up the heavens for all eternity. Try got a bad day at the gym.
And his daughters, the Hesperides, guarding that mythical garden with the golden apples. Man, those golden apples always pop up, don't they?
They do. And it's not just about literal fruit, right? It's this idea of paradise, of perfection, of something eternally out of reach. It's a theme that resonates even today.
Totally. That longing for something more, but also the danger of getting obsessed with it. Okay, so we've got this incredibly intricate tapestry being woven here. Gods, goddesses, nymphs, rivers. Oh, and did we mention the monsters?
You'd be remiss not to mention the monsters. This is where we finally meet the ultimate power couple of monstrous mayhem, Echidna and Typhon. These two, they are the pride parents of pretty much every terrifying creature in Greek mythology. Cerberus, the three-headed dog guarding the underworld. Yep, their kid. The Hydra, that multi-headed serpent that just keeps coming back for more. Also their kid.
Talk about a chaotic household.
Yeah.
But these monsters, they aren't just there to give us nightmares, right?
Definitely not. They represent something essential about how the ancient Greeks viewed the world. Yes, there's beauty and order, but there's also this wild, untamed energy that can't be ignored. It's a reminder that even the gods have to contend with chaos.
It's like that line between order and chaos. It's always shifting, always being tested, and nowhere is that more evident than in the story of Zeus and his rise to power. But, sadly, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. We've journeyed from the primordial void of chaos to the birth of gods and monsters, and it's been quite a ride. But remember, there's always more to uncover, so keep exploring, keep questioning, and who knows what other myths we might unearth together.